We are live. Here we go. Perfect. Let's see. Okay, looks like we are all good. We are all sorted and ready to go. I always have to double check my tech here because I'm live streaming from Zoom and I like to make sure that it's all sorted on Facebook. It looks like it is though. Let me refresh and then we will get started. Cool. Perfect. So, welcome into today's session. So, if you're here, that means that you've done session one and two. So, it is important, especially in the beginning, to do these in order. There's a reason why we are discussing these topics in the chronological order that we are talking about them in. Because today's conversation is going to be a more challenging conversation. You're most likely, may I say, definitely going to have resistance to what I am saying. You're not going to want to engage with this as deeply as the other stuff. And if you have done session one and two, and also if you're here, you've likely already begun your somatic sessions, then there's been a bit of awareness, there's been a bit of release, there's been a bit of acknowledgement to some deeper emotional pain that we've been holding on to, which is good, which is huge, which is progress. And I know that many of you have your pain is either significantly down or it's happening less frequently and less severely, which is huge progress. And we always want to celebrate progress. We want to acknowledge the work that we've done so far, even if we're not at the goal yet. So, with that, as usual, we're going to ground into the space. And then we're going to get into the depths of what we want to discuss today. So we're just going to warm up with 5 big breaths, and then we're going to do a little bit of shaking. So just a little bit of movement. You can follow me as we talked about last time. This whole process is going to be a journey of getting more and more uncomfortable with that inner primal, that weird, that language of the body. The body, our emotions, we don't use the mind. And oftentimes we judge how the body wants to express because of fear, because of shame. We don't want to look weird. We don't want to be silly. We don't want to look dumb. Okay. But the more we do that, the more we hold on to this internal pain, this internal discomfort. So, starting with the normal 5 breaths, then we'll get into our little weird practice, a very, very mini somatic practice. So, in through the nose, out through the mouth for 5. Okay. Eyes closed, get comfortable. Big in, out, in, out, in, out. 2 more in, out. Audible exhale this time. Big in. Make a sound. So keeping your eyes closed, we're going to do some shaking. So shaking is where you envision that you're a maraca. You just shake. Okay, so you can watch me in the beginning. First, we're going to do it without sound. You might want to squeeze your shoulder blades together or squeeze your eyebrows or squeeze your face. Just going to shake. Maybe you're shaking more on the right versus the left. Maybe you're shaking more in your head or your shoulders or your belly or your legs. Right now, for me, my body wants to shake in my shoulders and in my arms. That's where it is the most. So if I were shaking, just to shake for how it looked, I might just be like this, might be gentle, might just, make sure I'm equal, just caring about how it is perceived. But if I'm really honest about where my body wants attention, I'm gonna do it. It's in my shoulder blades, and I kind of want to make a stank face, like an annoying, weird face while I do it, because that feels like the body wants to do that. So I'm just gonna do that. And I'm gonna open it up for you to start shaking in the way that feels correct for you. So just doing that now. And now adding some sound. This is where we can really get judgmental with ourselves and hold back. My body wants to make kind of a sound from my throat. Okay, taking one final breath to ground that in, letting it go. Good job. So, welcome to today's conversation and just acknowledging your progress, celebrating, getting more and more comfortable speaking that body of the language, or excuse me, that language of the body, more tapped into movement, more tapped into breath, more tapped into where there's tension, where there's parts of your body that want to move, that want to be expressed. And even just honoring that little practice that we did just now. Remember, the more honest you allow yourself to be with how the body wants to express itself, the more weird that will seem, the more unfamiliar. But the more we surrender to that and the more we allow it, the faster our body heals, the more comfortable and safe we feel in our nervous system. So today's conversation, as I mentioned, is going to be a little bit more, I don't want to say tough love, but you could perceive it that way. So when I'm going to give you examples of how I did this practice for myself. And when I did this practice initially, I I was angry. It made me angry. Like I didn't want to believe it. I was like, there's no way this could be true. There's no way this could be the case. I don't understand. So resistance or not wanting to go deeper here is normal. So if you're having that response as we get deeper into today, that is normal. It's okay. Keep going anyway. And what we're going to be talking about today is the way that our unconscious mind keeps us from getting the result that we desire. So the result that we desire is on the other side of something that we've not done before. Okay, so it's on a line, it's past a line into the unknown, into uncertainty. Okay, so a life where you don't have pain, where you're not suffering physically, where you're not having these symptoms, when you're not feeling incomplete or hindered inside of your body, that's on the other side of this line, right? That's where we want to go. That's where we desire to go, but we don't know how to do that, or else we would have already been there. And that's why we're here. We're doing it together. I'm helping you with the how. That's not something that you have to worry about. It's not going to happen in this linear way that your mind can understand. It's going to happen over time. It's a process. But in order to jump that line, in order to get that result, in order to receive that type of success, we have to go into a territory, which you're doing right now, which you're doing through the program, of uncertainty and unknown, something different. So something that is uncomfortable because it is unfamiliar. So just like when you go and want to lose weight, let's say, it's a very physical example. There's something that you have to do that makes you uncomfortable. Maybe you have to say no to certain snacks, or maybe you have to do certain cardio exercises or lift weights or build a routine in the gym when you've never been to the gym. You have to go into your area of discomfort. What's the classic saying? Like, this is your comfort zone and this is where the magic happens. That space in between That is a mystery. That is unknown. That's uncertainty. Because if you knew what to do to go to where the magic happens, you would have done it by now, right? So now you're embarking on this journey of faith, of trust in the unknown, because you want to go where the magic happens. And the magic happens in this scenario, the magic is where there's no pain, where you can play with your kids and your grandkids, and you can travel and you can say yes to your creative endeavors and you can express yourself and you can enjoy life in a completely new way. That's where the magic happens in this scenario. But in order to get there, we have to go past our comfort zone. So every time we go past our comfort zone, our nervous system, it's like a rubber band. I wish I had a rubber band actually with me. I should have brought one. But every time we go past our comfort zone, our nervous system stretches. It stretches, it stretches, it stretches like a rubber band. And we get closer and closer to where the magic happens. But sometimes if we stretch too quickly or too soon or not feeling supported in the way we want to, that rubber band will just snap and it'll go right back to where it was. So the journey of getting to where the magic happens and exiting our comfort zone is also a journey of nervous system expansion. Like that rubber band. As the rubber band expands, your nervous system expands. As this expands, this is called something that we term capacity. Capacity. So the more you have the capacity for discomfort, the more you have the capacity for the unknown, the more you have the capacity to hold this pressure of following the program, of building discipline, of staying consistent, of showing up. The more you have the capacity, the more your nervous system expands, 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 expands. But if the capacity becomes too much, if it becomes too much for the nervous system to hold, it will it will snap right back and we won't get to where the magic happens. So our nervous system functions to tell everything in our body what to do, but also just to keep us safe. It detects what's safe and what's unsafe. And going into the unknown, going into the mystery, not knowing what's next, doing something unfamiliar over and over and over again does not feel safe to the nervous system. And the more we go into the zone of the unknown, of the mystery, which is inherently scary, it's inherently paired with fear to do something that is unknown and uncertain. The more we do that, the less safe the nervous system is going to feel. Because it's like, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. So as we expand our capacity, as we exit our comfort zone and we get closer to where the magic happens, we have to teach our nervous system that it is safe to keep going, to keep expanding. So there's multiple ways and modalities of how to expand our capacity. And we're going to be talking about one very specifically today. So how we expand our capacity really can be understood. So how we stretch our rubber band to get closer to where we want to go is how do we continuously feel safe in our body? Teach our nervous system, it's safe. I'm going a little bit more. Okay, yeah, it's safe. I'm going a little bit more. It's still safe. I'm going a little bit more, a little bit more. Okay, you're still good. We're still safe. We're still good. I got you. We got to build that safety like a rock. And there's multiple ways to do that. So you're doing that in the somatic sessions. You're doing that with nutrition. You're doing that with your nerve regeneration devices. You're doing this in different ways. And one of the ways that we're going to teach the nervous system that it's safe is by outsmarting it. So to expand our capacity, to get to where the magic happens, to have a continual sustenance and perseverance and fuel to stay the course, even when it's scary, even when it's hard, even when it doesn't make sense, we've got to remind ourselves that it's safe. to keep doing so that the rubber band does it. So one of the reasons why the nervous system feels unsafe to continue on this path or to really reach the reality where all of your dreams and your goals are coming to fruition, are in your reality, you're experiencing them, where you have no pain, where you feel strong, where you feel capable, where you feel equipped, where you feel like, yes, I've got this. One of the reasons why that's scary is because it has gotten so used to where you're at now. So there's this saying, this is when we're going to start to get into that part of the conversation that feels uncomfortable and that feels like you might have resistance to it. There's this saying that we learn to love our chains. So I don't know who said this, but we learn to love our chains. So it's like we're inside of a cage and we want to get out of the cage and we want to get out of the cage and we want to exit the cage and we want to go and be free on the outside. But at the same time, we kind of like that we're in the cage. We feel safe in the cage because we're used to the cage. The cage is familiar. And this is happening completely unconsciously. So this isn't something where you're sitting there and you're like, yeah, I like that I'm in pain. I enjoy it. I benefit from it. Okay, I'm not saying that. But on an unconscious level, this is really the part that I can hold your hand for here. On an unconscious level, there's a part of your nervous system that likes where you're at because it associates it with safety. There's a part of your nervous system that does not want to go where the magic happened, that does not want to feel fully free, fully expressed, fully strong, confident, capable. There's a part of you that doesn't want to go there. And the main reason why the nervous system has learned to love its chains and its cage, and it's like, oh, well, I have the key, but I'm going to act like I don't, and I'm just going to not, do the things that I have to do because this is actually safe. Because if I were to go where the magic happens, if I were to put myself in a position where my body felt good all the time, where I didn't have any pain, where I didn't have any symptoms, where I didn't have an excuse, then this is going to be an overarching statement, then there would be more responsibility. That's the key reason why. There would be more responsibility. So, the Superman quote, with more power comes more responsibility. So we stay disempowered, we stay shackled to our chains, we stay stuck in this cage, we stay stuck in this paradigm of pain and not getting better. And I know a lot of you have made progress, but this is how we're going to overcome the next road bump that's getting our pain down to a zero, because it will get down to a zero, but this is part of that, is we've got to explore the reasons why we are avoiding the responsibility that comes with the other side of this. Okay, so let me give you some examples here. I did one of the big things in my life where I did this exercise was around money. So this is true for any goal. So this is true for the goals around your body. This is true for the goals around your relationships. This is true for the goals around your finances. So I did this goal around money. And when I first heard this, so I learned about this in a book called Existential Kink by, I think, Carolyn Elliott. So if you want to read that book, it could help you. But this is part of where this information is from. But when I first did this around money, I was like, I don't want to not have money. Why would I want to not have more money? Why would I not want to create more wealth? Why would I like struggling financially? What part of me likes that? Why would I like that? And so it made me angry. So you might be having that response now, like, no, I don't want to be in pain. I don't want to be sick. I don't want to have headaches. I don't want to have bloating. I don't want to be suffering. But there's an unconscious part of you, like there is me, who does want that because we associate that with safety because we're used to it, because it's familiar. Because on the other side of getting better or succeeding at whatever goal, for me, it was money, there's more responsibility. So with more money for me, there'd be more responsibility to pay other people. I'd be financially responsible for a team, for people outside of myself. With more money, I would have to start looking at my student loans from graduate school differently. With more money, I would have to play the tax game completely differently. I would have to figure out the other bracket of insurance. So, mind you, I've been an entrepreneur almost my whole life. So, I've always dealt with these things that are a little bit different than working a corporate job. But with more money, there's more responsibility because I have to figure out, do I get an accountant? How do I expense this stuff? How do I get into a new tax bracket? What does that mean for my student loans? What does that mean for my insurance? What does that mean for people on my payroll? What does that mean for my business? What does that mean if I change states? What does that mean? If I make more money, then am I going to have to worry about losing it? If there's more responsibility on the other side of more power, of more success. So there's a part of me, not all of me, but there's a part of me that doesn't want that. There's a part of me that benefits from not getting that because I don't have to step into the version of myself that I would have to be in order to anchor that reality. So now think about this from the perspective of you and your pain. So if you are in pain, let's say, let me think of a client. Let's say you're having neck pain and headaches, okay? And you've gotten better, but it's still popping up sometimes. And it's frustrating. And you're like, I just want to get better. I just want to get better. I want to get better. We need to ask ourselves, what part of us is benefiting from not getting better? So if my neck pain went away, if my headaches went away, would then I have to actually face the fact that I hate my career and figure that out? Because I wouldn't be so focused on my headache and on my neck pain. If I got better, would I then realize I'm unhappy in my marriage, in my relationship? And I'd have to face that. If I get better, would I maybe be bored because then I would just live life in a way without anything to overcome, without any challenge, without any struggle. This is very, very common, a very deep unconscious thought process for people with childhood trauma. So this was for me, I was really used to the struggle, like always suffering, like everything was always like hard, 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 hard. And then when it was good, the high was more high because it was like always never felt safe all the time. And then I was like, oh, it's good. And then it became this roller coaster. So I was like addicted to the thrill of struggle, of suffer, of hardship. So that was true in my life for with the physical pain, with the money, with you know. So there's almost like a thrill of the struggle of having to figure it out and the challenge. And because if we got completely better, what if we were bored? It's like, what? Then I just enjoy the sun and the flowers and I make a recipe and I watch a movie. I'm bored because our nervous system is wired for that chaos, which we're navigating through the other things, through especially through our somatic sessions, rage practices, breath works, etc. But there are reasons deep in our unconscious mind that are benefit us for not getting better. Because when we don't get better, we don't have to stand in the responsibility that that requires to sustain that next level. Take the example of losing weight again. We go to the other side, we lose weight. Okay, so then when I lose weight, then what? Then what do I do with all this extra like belly fat, or what do I do with stretch marks, or how do I afford new clothes, or how do I stay this weight? What if I always am obsessed about how I can never have pizza? Like it comes with more responsibility. You have to change your identity. We will have trainings on identity work later. Right now, the conversation is, where do I not have to be as responsible if I don't get better? What benefit? How is it benefiting me to not heal? Because if I heal, then I have to X. Because if I heal, then I have to face the fact that my marriage X, that my job X, that my money X, that my family X. If I get physically better, now this is a big one. If I get physically better, if I physically heal, then I actually have to feel my anxiety. Then I actually have to feel the abandonment wound from an ex or from my parent or from a loved one. If I actually don't have physical pain or symptoms anymore, then I actually have to feel the depth of the grief from insert whatever that is. Then I have to feel the fear that I'm a failure because I didn't say yes to my purpose or my dream or my. Then, if I actually don't, if my mind isn't focused on my physical pain anymore, then I actually have to think about how much I'm unhappy in X, Y, and Z in my life. If I no longer have my pain to fixate on, if I no longer have to suffer in this way and I'm just better, then what if people leave me? What if people abandon me? What if I don't get as much attention? What if I don't get coddled? What if I don't get understood? What if people don't treat me with as much gentleness or tenderness or softness? So something for me is there's someone in my life that's a really challenging person in my life, and every time I'm really around them, I have a physical problem. I whether it's like my head or my eye or my neck or my stomach, it's like body is freaking out. And I was thinking about this because this was happening recently, and I was thinking about this training and preparing for this training, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is the what how I'm benefited from this is I don't have to face the severity of the discomfort of being around this person. Like it's almost like a drug. Like if I had to be completely sober, I am sober, but the pain, right? Or like my migraine or whatever it is making me more, there's making a bigger barrier to having to be around this person. And so, in like, okay, if I didn't have these physical problems happening, then I would just have to be like dead sober and be around this person. Oh my gosh, I would go crazy. So it's safer for my body to create these physical symptoms so that there's almost a barrier around this dynamic. So I don't have to completely face it because it's too much. So this is a little bit of a nuanced part of this conversation because this person is someone that requires boundaries and that I shouldn't be around all the time and things like that. But that also might be true for you. I mean, this was true for me in a past relationship, like a romantic relationship. I was having so many physical problems. It was crazy. But it was because there was like a denial of who this person was and something I didn't want to see and something I didn't want to face. And then obviously ended in us breaking up and being not together, which was extremely emotionally painful, but for the best. But these physical symptoms were not only a way of my body communicating to me that something was wrong, it provided a safety to not have to actually face the reality, the painfulness of the reality that was in front of me. So I really want you to think about this in the scope of your relationships, your friendships, with your boss, with your career, with your partner, if you're married, if you're single, an ex-partner, the pain of that person leaving, even if it's your parents and they're not here anymore, maybe the pain of them not being here anymore, or if they are here, the pain of what that relationship really is, because we only really heal when we're radically honest. And radical honesty also means being honest about the painful part, about the part that's not pretty, about the part that hurts. It's like, yeah, I love this person, but XYZ. So there's benefits of staying in pain because of what we would have to face if we were just like completely sober to that situation, like completely sober and just tapped into the reality of, oh my God, I hate my job, of, oh my God, I have not been present with my life because I have just been focused on this pain, of, oh my gosh, I'm not happy in this relationship, of, oh my gosh, I never grieved X, Y, and Z, or whatever that is for you. So I'm just going to take a breath, check in before we move forward. Let's see. So we're going to check both platforms here. Cool. Yes. Okay, great. So let me check my notes. Okay, so a couple things that we've said so far. One, in order to go where the magic happens, so where the results that we want are, that the results that we want exist, we have to get uncomfortable. We have to leave our comfort zone. In order to do that, what does that mean? We have to expand the capacity of our nervous system. We have to take this rubber band and we have to stretch it out so that we can hold more and more and more pressure, more discomfort, more mystery, more uncertainty. So, depending on where you're at in your life, another thing that's going to be very helpful for this analogy of getting to where the magic happens and expanding your nervous system is faith. So, depending on what you believe in, I believe in God. I'm not here to tell anyone what to or to not believe, but your relationship with the unknown, with mystery, with uncertainty also relates to faith, to your ability to trust in something that you can't see. But when we get on a very mechanical level of, okay, how do we actually expand our capacity here? And we don't ricochet back into the old reality, into the old results, is we have to trick the nervous system out. The nervous system says, hey, I'm going to go this much, but I'm not going to go this much because if I go that much, then I actually have to face the fact that this person betrayed me, that this person manipulated me, or that I fell for this manipulation, or that I believed a lie, or that I allowed myself to be deceived, or I have to actually face the level of responsibility that comes with writing my book because I've always wanted to write my book. And oh my gosh, how do I write a book? I don't know how to write a book. I don't know how to do that. Where do I start? Where do I publish? Do I have the money to do that? I have to face the responsibility that is required to get to that level. Oh, I want to start a business or I want to start a side passion project, but I don't know where to start. And that scares me. And then that requires me to manage my time differently. That requires me to set boundaries. That requires me to have certain people in my life and certain people not in my life. This is responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. It's like a it's like a scale. And I've talked about this before, but it's like a scale that grows bilaterally. So the more power you want or that you want to receive, so the more money, let's say, in my example, or the more you want to feel healthy in your body, we call that vitality. The more vitality, the more responsible you are. So when I was doing all of my physical health stuff before I was going into the deeper, emotional and spiritual and financial and all this relational and all these other parts of overall well-being, the more I realized quickly, I'm a very sensitive person. I'm a very sensitive person for a multiple of reasons, but I had to have, and I still have to have different boundaries than other people. Like if I have 2 glasses of wine, I could feel sick for 4 days. It's crazy. So my boundaries around alcohol have to be very different than other people. Like I wish so badly that I could just be one of those women who just comes home and has a glass of wine and watches a movie. It's like, oh my God, I feel awful for days. So if I want to have more vitality, more life inside of my body, more strength, no pain, I have more responsibility. I've got to have stronger boundaries around my alcohol. I'll go out and I'll only have alcohol if I know the next day is I don't have to, I don't know, be with clients or do a training or I'll have a non-alcoholic something. Same thing with sleep. Back early my early days in the beginning of my health journey, I have horrible insomnia. Since I was 5 years old, I was in therapy, could not sleep my whole life. And I've learned if I want more power, more vitality, if I want my brain to work the next day and I want mental acuity and cognition, I have to sleep. But in order to sleep, There's certain things I have to do. I have to go to bed by a certain time. I can't, my electronic usage has to be specific. I have to make sure that I'm not out with people and socializing by a certain time. Boundaries with more power, with more vitality. There's more responsibility. So, on the other side of this, where you're better, where you're healed, where there's no pain, what do you have to face? What is there? Because the healing journey never ends. Like the healing journey is this, it's this fallacy in the online space of like, I get to read a book and take a bath and say a prayer and I just will feel better. The healing journey is actually insanely uncomfortable. It's the rubber band going to the magic zone. One of my mentors who I have been in a course with almost this entire year named Melanie Ann Layer. She is talking a lot about this concept of how a diamond only becomes a diamond under pressure. So it requires discomfort of the pressure to become the diamond. So if your diamond, where the magic happens, is you being in no pain, you not having headaches, you not having belly aches, bloating, migraines, back pain, sciatica, hip pain, whatever it is for you, the diamond that comes out on the other side of that, where the magic happens, is only a byproduct of continual sustaining of pressure. And pressure is inherently uncomfortable. Pressure of the unknown, pressure of what's next, pressure of actually showing up and being disciplined. So, in the beginning of any healing journey, we have to be a bit more robotic, a bit more mechanical. I would tell people this in the chiropractic clinic all the time when I was just doing physical stuff beyond, chronic pain and mind body healing and things like that. In order to build a new habit, you have to be quite disciplined in the beginning because you don't know. It's not natural. You don't have competence in it yet. So let's say you're trying to clean up your nutrition or you're trying to lose weight and you're doing this from a nutritional standpoint, you might have to count macros or calories and be kind of drill sergeant until you do it enough times where you're like, oh, yeah, if I have this in the morning, then I can have that in the evening. And you find a flow, you find a rhythm, you find a knowingness because it becomes second nature, it becomes who you are. But in the beginning, you had to lock it in. So the same thing is true with everything that we're doing to heal physically, because we know to heal physically, we have to heal emotionally. So in the beginning, you might have to be disciplined. And I'm going to give you a homework assignment for this today, but you might have to be very disciplined, which is uncomfortable, which is pressure, because it's who you become under that pressure that creates the diamond. The discomfort and the pressure is required to get the result. So in the beginning, and we're still a bit of with quite a few of you at the beginning here, I know not everyone, but we have to do uncomfortable things. We have to sit down and we have to journal and we have to think about things that we don't want to think about, that we've shoved down, that we've pushed to the side. We have to sit down and do our homework. Depending on where you're at, maybe that's a breathing practice. Maybe that's a primal practice. Maybe that's a rage practice. You're like, well, I don't want to do that. Well, what if I'm not in the mood? Or what if I feel uncomfortable? Or what if it's like that doesn't change the how you get the result? Like I want to lose, say I want to lose 50 pounds, but every day I want to eat pizza and cookies. Well, then you're not going to lose 50 pounds, Alex. It's not going to work. I have to build discipline. And then as I learn, oh, okay, I can actually have pizza this time. And then one time I can have a cauliflower crust and then I can make an alternative and I can kind of satisfy that craving and I find my flow. I can do that later once I've built competency because of discipline. So who you become in the process of getting better is the version of you that's going to allow you to reach the magic zone where the magic happens. And part of expanding our rubber band, expanding our capacity is being someone that we've never been in the past, which takes time, which takes progress. It's a journey, which is why we have time together. This doesn't happen overnight, which is completely okay. But this goes back into the first part of the conversation. If I'm not being disciplined, if I'm not doing my homework, I benefit from that somehow. If I'm not sitting down and doing my breathing, if I'm not sitting down and doing a somatic session, if I'm not doing my journaling, if I'm not talking to my pain in the way that I was told to, if I'm not reframing my pain and my emotions, if I'm not doing that, why? Because you benefit from not doing it. Because from not doing it, you don't get better. And for you not getting better, then you don't have to face the responsibility that it requires to live that kind of lifestyle. Because with great power becomes great responsibility. So I do want to give a little caveat here. Like I said, I know this is kind of a tough love, like not so hand-holdy conversation. I do want to give a little bit of a caveat depending on where you're at in processing past trauma and hurt. If you had trauma, especially in childhood, there is an underlying belief that we don't deserve good things. Like I'm not worth it. I don't deserve it. Or that we don't matter. At the beginning or at one of the stages in my healing journey, like I said, it never ends. It's a lifelong thing. Once you heal one thing, then you heal your body, then you can heal your money, then you can heal your relationships, then you can heal your purpose. It's like over and over and over and deeper and deeper. But one of the things when I was at one of a really deep part of my healing journey, every single day, every single day, I would have to say, my opinions matter, my preferences matter, I matter. Because I had a core fundamental belief that I did not matter. And if I didn't matter, then I would never be disciplined because I didn't matter. And if I didn't matter, then I didn't deserve the results that I was going for. So I had to reframe the fact that I actually mattered. So if that mantra serves you, and I know we came up with a mantra last time, but if this mantra, and you've had a hard time being disciplined, if this mantra serves you, I'll invite you to write that down, make it your own. My opinions matter, my preferences matter, I matter. Because that's actually the core base root of healing. And most of that really happens in the somatic work because you can't just outthink the fact that you don't matter. You got to feel through the pain underneath there. And so that will happen with time. But if you're really struggling to make progress, or if you're really struggling to overcome this, your pain's gone down to a 6, but you want it to go down to a 4 before it goes down to a 2 and then a 0. If you're really stuck or plateaued, really consider the fact that there might be a deeper underlying belief of I don't matter or I don't deserve this. And this takes it to an even further point, and again, depending on what you've been through, there might be a part of you, and I've treated patients, several patients like this, that actually feels like they deserve to be in pain. So this is really common with early childhood abuse. So this could be physical abuse, this could be sexual abuse, this could be emotional abuse, or most anyone who survived narcissistic abuse. So especially from a young age, like from childhood, because that's when your sense of self is still forming and your worldview is still forming. And so there might be a deeper part of you that feels like you deserve to be punished. And you don't. I promise you, you don't. But contemplate that depending on what you've been through. Do I deserve this pain? Or do I not deserve to get better? I had a patient who underwent some really serious abuse in childhood and then later kind of became the bully and became the one being abusive to other people. And because of the shame of becoming that person, they didn't feel like they deserved to get better. And then that came with a huge opening, a lot of grief in feeling that somatically. So, crying, moving, like we did in the beginning of this practice, shaking, being weird, feeling that in your body. I don't believe that I deserve to get better because of who I used to be or because of what I've been through or because of what was imprinted upon me is massively uncomfortable. And that's where we're going to get into those physical body language stuff like we did in the beginning. We're going to have to unlock that primal part of us to release it because that's deep, deep in there. And it's okay if that's your story. It's the process of becoming aware of that story that allows us to increase our capacity, to increase that rubber band, to hold more pressure, hold more discomfort, hold more uncertainty. And by doing so, decide to be someone who deserves it. And by deciding that we deserve to be where the magic happens, then we, as a byproduct, become disciplined. And as we become disciplined, we continue to face the responsibility that will be required of us once we get to the other side. So, this was a big one. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to post a thread that's just going to be the Q&A thread. And any questions that come up, we're just going to go back to that thread and Q&A and Q&A. I'm going to start coming on and answering those questions. And if anyone's here live, you can come on and I can bring you for some hot seat coaching because a lot of the times when we answer other people's questions or when we answer our questions, other people's questions end up being answered and your question can benefit the group a lot. So previously we were responding to each of the videos. I'm just going to make one master thread instead, and we'll just keep going back to it. Any questions that come up there. So this is your homework for today. And I'm going to include the summary and maybe some graphics as well. The rubber band, where the magic happens, your comfort zone. Your homework is you're going to sit for 10 minutes every single day. Every day. No distractions, no music, no snack, no TV on in the bathroom, or in the background, no TikTok on your phone, nothing. We're going to be sober to reality, no distractions at all. You and your journal. If you want to type instead of write, that's fine, but just turn your notifications off. Don't be on your computer. 10 minutes, set a timer so that you know when that timer goes up, you're done. You're going to ask yourself these questions. So you're going to ask yourself, what part of me benefits from staying in pain? Okay, number one. What part of me benefits from staying in pain? Number two. Once I get 100% better physically, what's the next thing that I will be required to face? Once I get 100% better physically, what's the next thing that I will be required to face? Number three, what responsibility do I not want? That comes with healing. What responsibility, what do I not want to be responsible for? What responsibility am I avoiding? What responsibility do I not want as I heal? Asking yourself, is there anywhere or anything or anyone that made you believe you didn't matter? Is there any part of you that believes you didn't matter? Where did that come from? And is there any part of you that believes you deserve to be punished and deserve to be in pain? These 5 questions. 10 minutes every day, no distractions. In the beginning, you might be like just sitting there twiddling your thumbs. I have nothing to say. I don't know. I don't know. Okay, great. Do it again the next day. Do it again the next day. Do it again the next day. You can't mess this up. It's sheer contemplation. Just getting curious. Why? 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 Sometimes you just write and you don't even know what you're saying. Sometimes I like to give a deeper part of me the like the power of my pen. And I say, I'm giving my inner child the floor now, or I'm giving my deeper self the floor now. This is what they have to say, dot, dot, dot. And then I just start writing, 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 writing. And it's like something from beyond me and it just writes. So there's different tactics to use. If you want in the beginning, just say, I don't know what to write. I don't know what to write. This is dumb. But then do it again. Because that is just another method of avoidance of going into what needs to be addressed. I mean, that will answer your question right now. What responsibility am I avoiding or do I not want on my healing journey? I don't want a journal. Why? Just keep asking yourself why? So I'll summarize these 5 questions for you. I'll provide some graphics. I'll provide some notes. You'll have access to this. This will also be depending on where you're watching. So in the Facebook group, but also YouTube. And as we're doing this, as you're doing this practice, I want you to keep doing the homework from last week when it comes to talking to your pain. So when you feel your pain, if you feel your symptoms, I want you to continue talking to it. So acting as if that symptom is the part of you that feels that emotional pain that we went into last week. And as you do and sit in this journal and this discipline and this work, and you have no distractions and you really get to the core of some unconscious blocks here, you can also then start talking to the pain as if it's the part of you that doesn't want the responsibility, the part of you that doesn't want to go where the magic happens, the part of you that feels like you don't matter, the part of you that feels like you deserve punishment, the part of you that doesn't want to face XYZ. So you're continuing to do your homework from last week, but then as you get more clarity from doing this practice, then you're going to start using your pain as a messenger from the part of you who is in the 5 questions today. So the part of you who doesn't want responsibility, the part of you who feels safer being in pain, the part of you who's scared to have to address something on the other side, the part of you that feels like maybe you don't matter or that was taught to believe that you didn't matter, or the part of you that might believe that you deserve punishment. So not everyone will deserve, or not everyone will feel like they deserve punishment, and not everyone will feel like they don't matter. That's going to be highly dependent on what you've been through in the past traumatically. But if you have gone through, especially childhood trauma, one or both of those is likely active deep in your subconscious. And journaling in this way, in layers with consistency and with discipline, allows us to chisel down those layers and get to the truth. Because remember, we only heal in radical honesty, and the truth, almost all of the time, is very uncomfortable and confronting. If you're feeling uncomfortable throughout this process, get into your body, take some breaths, go into some of those weird movements, and allow yourself to be with the discomfort. Allow yourself to remind yourself that the diamond inside of you, where the magic happens, is only a byproduct of continuing to experience this pressure, continuing to expand your capacity for this discomfort, for this pressure that comes with change, with confronting what is stuck and trapped deep within. Okay? Good job. This was a big one, a deep one, and an uncomfortable one. Okay? So you have got this. I will post the Q&A later on the thread, and I will see you guys next time.